And I also want to say thank you to Marlo Beauty for hosting this class and allowing me to be here today with you guys and teach you about this great new tinting product that is FDA compliant. So this is a big deal in the US, as we know that there is no FDA compliant tinting system out there. So we want to be able to offer this, make it free and safe, freely and safely for schools to use to teach in their classrooms, for people to put it onto their service menu. And the great thing about this new system too is that it's a hybrid, which will stain the skin, but also color the hairs as well. So once again, thank you to Marlo Beauty for hosting this. And I'm glad you guys are able to spend the afternoon with all of us today. So let's get started with that presentation. I'll do just a little bit of as Katie had introduced myself, I am the lead trainer of North America. So I do a lot of these trainings. I have a real passion for RefectoCil. I'm going to try today to portray that passion and give it to you guys as well for Intense Browns, because it is an exciting system. Okay, so brow intensifying. When we think of brow intensifying, that will be the name that you will use for your service menu. This is what the service is going to be called. So can you imagine now, instead of just saying tinting, you have a new way to show excitement to your demographics or to your customers who are probably not doing any tinting services, but now with that new name of brow intensifying, you can grab some more attention with that. So it's a patent brow and lash tinting system that you can customize and give your customers that makeup effect, which is really beautiful. You can see all the 4 models here. We'll go through the presentation to see the different colors that suit each type of different clientele that you would have. Okay, so we can create the most intense looks. As you can tell by the name, says brow intense brown, sorry, you know that word intense. So it's going to be something that it's going to be a service that's going to be very showed, like it's going to be intense. The brows are going to be there. They're going to be contrasted, shown, gaps are going to be filled. So you have to talk with your customers to let them know, is this a look they want? Unlike the oxidative tints, yes, the longer you leave them on, the darker it could get. But as you can see, this one has a more makeup effect. So the intensity is a notch higher than what your oxidative tints would do. Plus, you're getting that skin staining. So once you have that skin staining on the back, and then the coloring on the hair, that intensity grows, right? It becomes more of a makeup effect. So talk to your customers, see what they, if this is something for them. This is great for customers, clientele that you have that are mature, that may have lost a lot of their brows or missing a portion of their brows. Because it stains the skin, you're able to remodel or redesign that brow and give your customer a brow. As well, if you have clients that have dealt with cancer, that they go through chemo, radiation, they've lost their brows, and brows do frame our face. They do give us that beauty or that confidence in ourselves. So you're able to provide that to your customers that have gone through that type of treatment. Okay, so it is FDA compliant. So the system is FDA compliant. The color additive, silver nitrate, is FDA approved. So that ingredient has gone through a lot of testing to be able, actually it's gone through that testing since 2015 to be able to now, 2022, launch this FDA compliant tinting system. So it has 4 colors, and we're going to go through the PowerPoint to see those 4 different colors. 3 different brow techniques. So we're going to be able to see, we don't want to just give somebody the one look, which is like that. You can see the model right here, that bold look from the beginning to the end. It might not be for everybody. So we have 2 other techniques that we can work with this service to try and accommodate it to as many clientele we can. Okay. So up to 6 weeks. So we say 4 to 6 weeks on the hair, 5 to 7 days on the skin. It varies with client to client, what their skin is, oily versus dry, what their maintenance is at home. Their home care plays a big role in how long the durability of the system is going to last. But you have to remember, because it's different than oxidative tints, they work with an oxidant, hydrogen peroxide, and they open up that structure of the hair structure so that the color deposits inside and then it seals. With the intense browns, we're not getting that complete opening. You might have just a little bit of the first layer opening of that structure of the hair and getting a little bit, but that's it. So mostly it coats the outer layer of the hair. So because of that, you're going to be mindful of what you do with your brows, how aggressive you are when you wash, what type of soaps are you using, exfoliants, are you using a lot of oils? That will play a role. But to have 5 to 7 days staining on the skin, that's amazing. Because with the oxidative, it gives a shadowing, and then that same day you wash your face with water, it's gone. Okay. So let's look at that wow effect. As you can see, here are our 4 models. And here are the 4 colors that accommodated these models. So you have the ash brown, and just like by the name, and if you have customers that have that nice, clean, white blonde in their hair, excuse me, you can be using the ash brown to give that cool tone. Okay, even if that customer didn't have white blonde hair, but they want their brows to be cool and they have a warm undertone, you'd have to use the ash brown to counteract that, right? So that's what we can that's how you can use the ash brown. When we go to the chocolate brown, this is for the natural brunettes, but also if they have a little like warm undertone, because the chocolate brown has a slight little warm undertone. So if somebody was more to the warm tone, they wanted their brows to be, because their hair is more to the warm tone, they would use the chocolate brown. Okay. Then we have the deep brown. So the deep brown is potentially what I'm going to be able to show today with our model, because they do have a little bit of darker skin, but they also do have a lot of brows, like very thin brows. So brow mapping is going to be very, very important to get that even skin staining. So deep brown is for those who particularly, they want that dark shade, as you can see as well with the model. Her hair is pretty dominant. It's pretty dark. So the brows need that contrast, or they need that evenness to match that hair, or else the brows would be totally washed out, or they wouldn't showcase because the hair takes the full attention. So we want to frame the face, and that's why for her, the deep brown works very well. We don't want to go black brown and make it too aggressive where it looks too harsh on her, because we need to use it on softer facial features. Okay. So the black brown, as you can see with the model, it's actually giving her that stronger frame of face, because she's a candidate that can take the stronger effect, right? So here they've used that. It is for more intense results, but also it's great for people who have black hair. It will, like true black, it will harmonize that, but also great for lashes. So the black brown is something you're going to use for lashes. Yes, you can use this for lashes, but you are going to omit the first step, which is the primer. And the primer usually gets used for the brows because you want that even skin staining. Okay, so those are the 4 colors. Hopefully in the new year, they'll be working on some more. Not quite sure when we'll have any available, but they see the importance of opening the range a little bit more. But for now, to start with the 4, we can still do some wonderful work on our customers with their brows. So here's some befores and afters. What better way to showcase the system if we don't show befores and afters, because now you can see the effect, and now you can also show this to your customers, the effect, right? So that it could be like your little swatch booklet that can say, hey, your hair looks closer, you look closer to this cool tone person. This is what it would look like if we did it with the ash brown, as you can see with the the first model. Okay, so a little bit more softer. They are all intense to begin with, but a little bit more softer would be the ash brown. And then you have the chocolate brown. I'm going to pause for 1 second. Katie, if you're there, my screen popped up and there's a question in the chat. Is there anything that I need to answer or anything that I need to repeat? Not quite sure if it's something I might have missed.
No, we have the chat open now. So if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat box now.
Oh, okay. I see it popped up. I'm like, oh, I think there's a question. Oh no, I think there's a lot more now. There's 3. Okay. Do you want to see what they are?
Yeah, so someone's asking if you can intermix the colors to make a custom color.
Good question. So they don't suggest for you to mix the colors because they are already intense as they are. mixing it will only intensify it more. And if you chose, say, for example, ash brown for that customer, and then you decide to mix it with another color, you're going to deviate away from that color that the customer wanted, potentially make it unpleasant for them. So they suggest do not intermix them. If you want to test it out and play around with it and model with somebody, like have a model, why not? It doesn't hurt, but they suggest no. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then, yes, this is recording and you will be sent the recording. And Chrissy has all her materials, her presentation, step-by-step, everything to give to us as well. So that will be available on marlobeauty.com after the webinar.
Perfect. All good questions. Okay, so I'm going to continue. And if there's more, Katie will let me know. But right now, we're talking about the chocolate brown. You can see the customer has, or the model has a little bit of warm tone in her hair. That's why they went with the chocolate brown. Her roots are coming out, so they're a little bit darker, but she's got that golden, like that more warm tone in her hair. There is the before and after for our model, for the model right here. And remember how I said her hair is very powerful, like very strong, but her brows are getting lost. And she has nice brows, but they're not being showcased and it's not framing her face like it should. So now with the deep brown, because we want to make some impact, the light and the chocolate are not, going to give that much of an impact. The deep brown is. Then you have your before and after with the black brown. So as you can see, the model does have strong dark black hair, but because she didn't have too much sharp facial features, this helped her to have more sharp features. Okay. So
and Chrissy, we have a couple more questions.
Sure.
Are there any colors for blondes? Someone asked.
Okay, so for the blonde ones, like for example, the model that we have in this beautiful page right here, slide right here, she would be the ash brown. So as I mentioned, they do see that they need to expand a little bit more to create even lighter tones, because as by the name intense, even the ash brown is pretty intense. So you have to learn how to use the technique that we're going to go through to soften it a little bit. Otherwise, for now, if you have blonde customers, the blonde hair, like I've done it on people who have like platinum blonde hair, it would be the ash brown. It would be with the medium primer, not the strong, because it's already intense. You're going to intensify it a lot more with the strong primer. And then you're going to do the ombre technique on those type of customers. But unfortunately, we don't have a lighter one than the ash brown, but you can make it work with the ash brown because I've been doing a lot of blonde clientele. Okay.
Great. And then last question for now, if you have a true neutral brunette, which way would you go with that?
So the true neutral or natural brunette, or she's true, like that's her natural color. You would do the chocolate brown, but you could also do the ash brown on a brunette. If that true brown color, natural brown brunette is a little bit darker, you can even go to the deep brown, right? But I would alternate between the ash brown, like I would try between the ash brown or the chocolate brown if they were a true brunette. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So let's look at the product so you know what the system contains or what it includes and what are the steps. Once again, we won't go over to the complete steps here because I'll do it on the model, but you will get the step-by-step protocols. But here we have primers. I decided to do 2 primers. And just because there's a strong primer doesn't mean that the durability or the longevity of it staining on the skin is going to be longer if you use the strong. It's going to be that the color is going to look stronger. Okay, so the staining of the skin is going to be the same effect. Maybe you might have another extra day with the strong primer, maybe, but it doesn't extend the wear. It just makes the color darker. Okay, so potentially you can purchase, say, for example, your ash brown, and as a suggestion, like as a not a suggestion, like as an example, you can purchase the ash brown and use that same color for multiple type of clienteles, because if you have somebody that might be darker skin or mixed skin, you might use the strong primer to intensify the ash brown. But then if you have the lighter clientele, the cool blonde clientele, you can do the ash brown with the medium primer. So it's really nice actually to be able to take that one color and intensify it to different degree. So that's what you will see with the 2 different primers. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, which is the 4 colors, which we already have seen all the 4 colors. So we already know, and this is just reiterating that if you're going to use the ash brown, it's for lighter and natural looking results. So once again, you can use it on those natural brunettes. Then you have your chocolate, which has the warmth in it. So brunettes with a little bit of warmth in it as well. Your deep brown for people with, darker skin, darker hair. Need a little bit more of a contrast, and then your black brown, which is a big contrast, but it's great for lashes. Okay, so those are how your tube colors, and you can see the tubes. For example, like if you have it laid down on my table, like when I have it laid down on my table, I don't read the label anymore. I just know by picking it up because they did a really smart thing. You see the 2 primers? The light one has a lighter tone in the RefectoCil logo, and this strong primer has a darker tone. So I know when I pick up, oh, this is strong. I'm getting older. My eyes. I can't read small writings. So I know by that, right? And the nice thing is each step has a different color, the different browns in the system, in the tubes, and your activator, it's gray. It's like a silver box. Okay. So your activator is the last step, and it's the one that's going to create the magic. So you start off first with the primer. Now the primer will say optional when you get your step-by-step protocols. But if you're going to want to stain the skin, fill gaps, you're going to want to use it. Okay. If you have a customer that comes in, their brows are full and luscious, but they just wanted that fresh pop of color, you don't have to use the primer because they don't need skin staining. Their brows are full to begin with. So you will know when to use it or when not to use it. But if the customer has a lot more skin that you have to cover, you will need to use it so that you get that evenness of the skin staining. Okay. Katie, do you want me to wait a minute? I know the questions went, I can see a little tab up there. They went a little bit higher. The questions, is there anything you want me to answer?
I think you're going to cover this, but someone asked how to get an ombre look on the eyebrow.
Okay, we will. If you're patient for maybe 3 more minutes, I will get to that one, but good question. Yes, we will get to that. Let's just look at the rest of the products. After the products, it will be the techniques, okay? So is okay, Katie, or is there another one, another question I
Yep,
should
and then
answer?
2 more. Is there a recommended time frame from the next time we can tint?
That's actually a really good question, because usually with oxidative, we say try to do it after 4 weeks. Because this is all vegan, so I forgot to mention, it's all plant-based extract, it's vegan. People feel that they can do it a lot more sooner, which is kind of true because you're not stripping away anything from the hair or opening the structure or roughening that cuticle. But the thing is, if you do it, say even every 3 weeks, there's a potential that the skin staining will not work because you're doing it so often, it's not going to grab it anymore onto the skin. So we don't suggest to do that. We do suggest we have the beautiful pencils, the brow pencils that RefectoCil has. They could to have that in between services to touch up if they have to before they come in next time. But we've been teaching this, and then I had a salon call me and say they encountered this because they had their customer come in every 3 weeks, and they're like, oh no, it doesn't stick now on the skin. So that is what's going to happen if you do it way too often. Okay. So
great.
I would say after even on the 5th week mark, 5th and after, they should come back again. Okay.
And how long should you set on oily skin?
How long you should set, like the timings?
I think I don't know if
Okay.
Mary wants to clarify, but yes.
Okay, when we go through the step by step, but I'll tell you guys right now what the timings are, but we're gonna show it as well on the model. But there is only one standard timing for everybody. So the primer is 4 minutes that you leave it on, the color gel is 2 minutes, and the activator is 1. So they're half of each other. In between each step, you need a 4-minute drying time. The drying times are very, very important, or else the product won't stick properly as well onto the skin. Anything that's wet, it's not going to accept the next step. So, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and then between the 4 minutes timing, they stop. They don't progress the colors, so they stop at that time. So even if you left it longer, you're like, oops, I forgot to take off the brow, and it's been 2 minutes instead of 1 minute for the activator, it stops. It doesn't get any more intense.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary, for clarifying. And that's it for now.
That's it. And just on that question about the timings, I know another question might pop up, so I might as well answer it now that I remember. A lot of henna products, this works, if you might have noticed, this works like a henna. So a lot of henna products out there, and we're getting a lot of feedback from salon owners in this, that they, when they do the henna, any other brand out there henna, they have to tell their customer to come back within 24 or 48 hours to do the henna if they did brow lamination. Apparently with the henna systems, you can't do the brow lamination and that coloring in the same day. And sometimes that can be discouraging to a customer because who wants to come back again if they're very busy. So with RefectoCil, with the intense browns, you can do the brow lamination and the intense browns in the same day, but you have to make sure that you clean that area so well from all the solutions and then dry the hair before you start with the primer number 1. Okay, so that's one thing I want to mention, which is a very positive thing because your customer wants to get that whole brow in that same seating and doesn't want to come back again. Okay, Katie, everything good to go with the product, or is there any other question?
We're good to go for now.
We're good. Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so you need to know what your products are or what you're getting in your kit. It's kind of hard to see in the back there, but this is what the kit will look like. Okay, and inside the kit, you will have, your makeup remover. The makeup remover is the same one as you use in all the other RefectoCil services. If you're doing any of our other RefectoCil services, that's the same makeup remover. We do now have a lash and brow foam, which is also user-friendly for lash artists, which is great. And it's got like a more deeper conditioning. The foam helps lift through the brow hairs, any of that makeup and so forth. And it's gentle, it's great for sensitive skin as well. So whichever method you choose, whether it's the liquid eye makeup remover, which also has hair strengthening properties. I love the micellar makeup remover. But if you're using this one or you're using the brow foam, you have to follow with the saline. So we'll see that in the next slide. You have to double cleanse. So you have to degrease everything with the saline solution. The tint remover is totally different from the original oxidative tints. It is strictly for intense browns because the staining is a lot more. If you were to use the RefectoCil oxidative tint remover, you'd probably be sitting there rubbing your customer's poor skin for a really long time to remove any unnecessary staining. So that is why there is the intense browns tint remover of its own, okay? So that you can get that staining away effectively, okay? You've got your Browista toolkit, your 2 brushes and your bowls that come in the kit. So in the kit, you don't get the foam, but we're just showing it here that if you do decide to use the foam, there's available. But you got the eye makeup remover, tint remover, you got these brushes. Nice thing about these brushes is that you got the more wider end and the angled. The angled end is really great to use when you are applying the activator part, because you need to have a lot of control, because the activator, as soon as you touch the hair or the skin that had the primer and the color gel, it's like magic, it instantly stains. So having more control with a smaller, narrower brush, it's very helpful. The nice thing too is that on the other end of these brushes is the silicone spoolie. And the silicone spoolie is awesome because when we show the ombre technique, you're gonna just turn your brush around and use your spoolie, okay, to give that more shadow effect and not that harsh, like blocked staining, okay. You have tweezers, but they don't come in the kit. They're just showing that RefectoCil came out with tweezers. They're actually really good tweezers. I was gonna say, oh, another set of tweezers out in the market, but they're actually really good. And then you have the brow mapping pencil, which is in your kit, because brow mapping with this system is very important, especially when you're remodeling or redesigning a brow. If you don't brow map properly, you're gonna have some very interesting brows. Okay, so make this pencil your friend. We sell out of it at trade shows because we get people to try it. I've tried to find a great white pencil, like a good one, and they're very they tug the skin, they don't glide nicely. This one, beautiful. The pigment is rich. It also has ingredients in the pigment that soothe the skin as well. So they did a really good job with the pencil. Okay, then you have, as mentioned, the saline solution, protection cream. You can put protection cream as well around or on top the brow mapping, because even though you can brow map and it can protect from staining, it doesn't completely protect, because if you touch on top of the brow mapping, the staining can go through to it and go into the skin. So if you want to put on top of the brow mapping the protection cream, you can, or around the skin after the brow mapping. Just make sure that you don't touch any of the hairs, because then that means that area is not going to be able to grab the coloring. Okay, you have the palettes if you don't want to use the brushes, so your hands are free because it goes on your hand or a ring. But you also have the eye care pads. The eye care pads are a great way to just, you know, add value or elevate your brow services and give your customer a nice eye treatment. Then you've got your aftercare, which is very important as well. If you wanted to put our hero product is a styling gel. After you're done with the, you know, brow lamination, lash lifts, anything you do with RefectoCil, end it with the styling gel, because that is your conditioning treatment. Okay, the care balm is a more deeper treatment. It's a more intense treatment, and it's actually, on a side note, great after brow lamination just to put a little bit on the brows to give them that little bit of a gloss. But don't sit there rubbing it in. Don't sit there, because you don't want it's rich, so you don't want it to sit too heavy. Okay, but you have those two products, and you have your booster if your customer's looking to lengthen or get their brows out, and then you've got the what do you call it? The makeup line, the brow pencils, and the highlighter. Even after an intense brow treatment, you can take the highlighter and just put it right underneath that arch or at the tail end and just illuminate those brows even nicer. And we know that the holiday seasons are coming just around the corner. People are going to be getting ready for parties and so forth, and they want their brows to be on point or on fleek. So a great little touch is to put that little highlighter. Okay. And then we're going into the full brow techniques. Katie, if I have to pause to answer any question, let me know. Otherwise, I will continue.
All good for now.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so this is very important, because as I mentioned, intense browns is pretty intense. You don't want to scare your customers away, and you don't want your customers coming out of the bed or chair freaked out. So understanding how to do 3 different techniques is actually going to really help you to reach a lot of your clientele. When we look at the first one, which is the full brow technique, that's like the easiest one. It's the one that you're going to put the primer, you're going to put the color gel, you're going to put the activator from the beginning of the brow to the end of the brow, right? So as you can see, you're going to create that very, very defined brow. Okay, and it's ideal for customers who want a strong effect, or where the redesigning or remodeling of the eyebrow is needed because they're missing some brow hairs or to a lot, right? One of the videos that we have on our YouTube or on our website, the model is missing actually from her arch to her tail and her brow, and they did the intense browns, and she was able to have brows. Even if it's for 5 to 6, 7 days onto the skin, she had brows, and she could alleviate a whole week of not having to fill in her brows. All right, so that was really nice with the full brow technique. Then you have the ombre. So the ombre, as you can tell, is pretty popular. It's always been popular. Even when they go and they do shading or microblading or this, not many people ask to have a more microbladed look. It's a more softer, gentler look, or it gives that more natural effect. Now, this is where you have to be careful not to use your brush end and go to the beginning, because you're going to make it too dark or too box. It's where you have to turn your spoolie around to the silicone portion of the spoolie. And as you already have color, like the activator, onto the rest of the brow, you're going to run your spoolie into it, and you're going to grab that coloring, and then you're going to slightly put it over the beginning of the brow. So that spoolie helps you to go gently and not too hard with the brush, because the brush can pigment the skin much stronger than the spoolie, the what do you call them? I forgot the word is. The little spokes, the little bristles or whatever, right? They're going to softly do that. So that's how you're going to be able to do an ombre look. Okay, and that's what we're going to try and do today. Because my model today, how do we put this, was a victim of the 90s brows. So her brows are pretty thin. So we're going to try and do this nice staining. We're going to map it properly and use the deep brown and give her a defined brow, but not too boxed for her, so we don't freak her out, and give her this ombre look. Okay. And then your brow filling technique. This is basically, now obviously in the picture, it looks like it's an ombre, but this is where you'll not put anything in that. See, where they brow mapped it was after the beginning of the brow towards the tail end. And that's where they put the primer. And that's where they put the color gel. And that's where they put the activator. The rest of the hairs, nothing was put on them. So basically the brow filling technique, it's if the customer has already intense brows and they just need a little bit of filling in certain areas to define them, that's the only area you're going to focus with the 3 steps. Okay. And they don't require, some of the hairs won't require any of the coloring at all. Okay. So that is the PowerPoint. So we want to leave some time for questions as well, but also to show you the demonstration. Please like us on Facebook. We want you guys to stalk us. It's the best kind of stalking on our social media. So we've got Marlo Beauty. We've got RefectoCil North America. Even on Facebook, you can leave us some reviews. It's great to know if you enjoyed this webinar today of the launch of Intense Browns with Marlo Beauty. As well on Instagram, we've got Marlo Beauty Supply, we've got RefectoCil North America, we've got Browista by RefectoCil, which is my training account. Tag us all. If you're gonna, when you get this system, you're gonna try it out, you're gonna have the befores and afters, and you're gonna post, tag us. We'd love to share the love and show people what the professionals are doing out there with Intense Browns. Okay, so let's all share that love. And then visit our website. So you have, and we're missing our educational website. So you have on here marlobeauty.com, but we also have the refectocileducation.com website. And that's going to have all strictly educational. No selling. Selling is done through Marlo. But on that website, you're going to have videos, tutorials, webinars, not webinars, recording of demos, the profitabilities, the protocols, if you lost them or whatever. It's all educational on there to help you. Okay. And we're going to want to demo. So before I get the model, I can answer a couple of questions now before I set up the model. Katie, let me know if there's some questions.
We have one question. Is this a service that hairdressers are certified to do or only estheticians?
It varies state by state. So for your and Katie, I will need to check. I'm not quite sure if you already know your protocols in your area, Michigan, right? If hairstylists are able, I know in a lot of states, hairstylists are allowed to touch brows and color brows, just not lashes. But there's also some states that don't allow at all to touch brows. So you'd have to check with your local guideline to see. But I would say 80% of the time hairdressers are allowed to. I'm from Canada, so I can tell you like the Canadian regulations. In the States, it's really hard for me to know. And plus with everything changing now, I think even I heard, Katie, if I'm correct, you're in Michigan, right?
We're Michigan, yep.
Yeah, I was talking to a school in Michigan and they told me that on November 13, they're thinking of revoking lash lifts and brow laminations. So with everything that's like changing, I don't know if the regulations have also changed with hairstylists, what they're allowed to do and what estheticians are allowed to do. So it doesn't hurt to check with your local state guide and keep up to date with it to know. Okay, but I do know that Michigan is saying that if you are using a Fda compliant tinting product, you're good to offer lash and brow tinting. So I know that for sure, because I was given that information. Okay, so sorry if I don't have that answer right now. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but yes, okay. Katie.
And a lot of people are asking about what you would charge for this service.
Perfect. Yes, good question. And that's why you're going to get as well when I send to Katie the profitability. You can charge between $40 to $60 on this service because it is a customizable service. You are creating a new brow. You are being very artistic as well. You're spending a little bit more time. We suggest between $40 to $60, depending on your demographics, the area that you're located. And that could also include a brow shaping as well. Your supplies for this cost maybe tops like $3, $2 or something like that. I can't remember the profitability, what we had said. But your revenue back out of one kit will be like over like $900 because of the, you can do about 60 applications with whatever comes in the kit. So you take your 60 times your, even if you take the base of $40 you're going to charge, you're creating over $900 profitability out of one kit. Okay. Should I grab, is there any other question, or should I grab my model that answer as well?
Go ahead, because there's
Okay,
another.
let me grab her and I'll
question.
answer a question still. I still can answer. I'm going to bring her in.
Okay, yeah, the question is about ombre, which I know you're gonna cover, so just about where to start in the front or the back and how long to leave it on. So Chrissy will cover that during the demo.
Thank you.
And then what else? Am I missing anything?
So we're actually going to show the demo in a chair. I don't know if you can see that there's a barber chair right there. Oop, I don't want to disconnect. There's a barber chair there. So we're going to do it sitting up because you want your, if your customer is not doing like a lash lift or anything like that, you want your customer to be engaged when you're doing this. You want them to see, you want them to monitor as well, so that they're giving you that feedback of what they want the look. Also to show that if you don't have the space for a bed, but you have only a small little boutique that you do lash services and you only have these type of chairs, yes. And also for hairstylists, they're able to do this sitting in their chair. Okay. So we're going to get our model, Jennifer, to sit down, and we're going to position it appropriately, the camera, so you guys can see. Katie, by all means, if there's any questions, I can answer them at the same time.
Chrissy, actually, we do have one more before you start. Can you wax before this service?
So with any brow styling services we do, any tinting, with whichever system you use, the waxing comes at the end. The hair removal is always the last thing. You need to be able to see the shape of the brows to shape properly afterwards. Also, you don't want to irritate the skin before with open pores, and when you wax first and then put a product, even though it's vegan, even though it's plant-based, you can still cause some kind of irritation onto the skin. So do your waxing always as the last step, just before you do your protection, like your conditioning. Okay.
Perfect. And how long do you book an appointment like this for?
This service should take about a half an hour. Sorry, a half an hour. If you're shaping, depends on how much shaping you're doing, but usually you can do within a half an hour. And what we suggest as well is purchase a lash fan, because that's what's going to help the drying times faster. So like, for example, I'm going to be using a lash fan, so I don't have to wait full 4 minutes between each step. I can dock down to 1 minute only, the drying time. So we say 30 minutes, and that should include the brow shaping as well to do that. Yeah.
Got it. And then Chrissy, just before you start, if you could make your screen the bigger one, I think you need to close out of the PowerPoint.
Let me close the PowerPoint, but also I think both you and Austin might need to get off as well to make it even bigger. No? Hold on, let me see. Let me stop sharing. Is that still pretty small, or that's okay?
You should be full screen now, but.
Oh, you guys let me know. Oh shoot, let me know, but let me just fix the camera. Just 1 second, every time I move it. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna need a new. Okay, so we're gonna put it. How is that?
Looking good.
Good. Okay, awesome. And like I mentioned, I will be going through the steps and talking. If there's any questions, I can answer them as well. Okay. So I just finished sanitizing my hands. Let me prepare and show you guys the cleanser. Okay. Another thing to excuse me, keep in mind is you can exfoliate before as well, especially if you have. Is it close enough? I don't know if I can go any closer, or else the cameras, I'm going to be hitting the camera. Is that close? I just see somebody, now I can see the comment, and somebody said closer, but is that close enough? It might get too blurry if it's too close, but hopefully that one's okay. That's okay. Oh yeah, you can exfoliate before, because if the customer has flaky skin, you want to get rid of that skin as well, because that is going to affect the results. Okay. When the skin starts to flake after you do the service, what's going to happen? The patchiness is going to be there. So I can show a little bit. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to do the micellar eye makeup remover. So I can show you that in the, now, Jennifer doesn't have any of the makeup on. which is okay, which is good. It makes the service go faster. But even if they come without any makeup, you're going to start first with the micellar eye makeup remover because it's non-oily. It's also micellar, so it works like magnets to remove any waterproof makeup if they did have any. And also it is hair and lash, like lash and brow strengthening. It's got a bunch of amino acids they're going to condition. And you only need a little bit, and we're going to clean the brows just to make sure, because there's pollution, there's dust, there's sweat, you know, there's our daily environmental factors that we have to contend with as well. And the moisturizer she put on. Exactly. So we still want to make sure, even when they say they didn't wear any makeup, I've caught many people, like they might wear powder, they might not put anything in their brows or their lashes, but they put powder in the rest of their face, and those traces go into the hair as well. So we want a nice clean canvas. The second step, but before I do the saline solution, I'm going to do an exfoliant. Now this exfoliant is not available here, but I'm just using it because it was gifted to me from RefectoCil in GW in Austria. So I'm going to use it because it was created for the face. So you can find a exfoliant that is meant like a professional exfoliant I would use, not like a shopper's, like a drugstore one. I would use a professional. We are all professionals. So, and make sure that the microspheres are small, not too abrasive, because you are working in a delicate area of the skin. And also it's meant to be used on the face. Okay. Katie, if there's any, I know there's like, it says that there's like almost 60 questions, but I know it's adding on. But if there's anything I have to answer, please let me know.
I will let you know. So one of them is, can you use a fan to dry?
Yep. So I bought, well, I didn't buy, I was gifted this one. But I was given, RefectoCil doesn't make it, but I was given one from RefectoCil, but you can buy these even on Amazon. So it's got 3 levels and it's going to dry it faster. Okay. So I would suggest, yes, please purchase one of these. It's going to help your service go a little bit faster. And also you don't only have to use it for intense browns. I use it for my brow laminations to dry between each set of solutions, because with any of the steps with any of the services you do that require 2 steps, you should be drying the 1 step before the next step. So this fan is helping me with lash lifts. And at the end, when I'm done a lash lift, I will dry out the lashes just like a blow dryer, and the lashes will be even lifted more. Okay, so yes, please purchase one. So I'm going to exfoliate.
And then is this does this last longer like henna tint? And I think you already,
I was told, sadly I probably need to purchase a henna product and try it. I haven't yet, so shame on me, but I've been told that they're not lasting as long, and that's why they're liking the intense brown service. And they're saying that the henna, also the coloring comes out very warm, more to the reddish, and they're liking the intense browns better. So I haven't tested it myself, but they do say that our intense browns, whoever's used it that was a henna user before, likes the intense browns better. Okay, so I'm going to exfoliate and I'll hear any other questions you have. Katie?
someone asked, what is brow lamination?
Oh, okay, good question. So brow lamination, what you do with the brows is that it's like a lash lift where you're relaxing the lashes and then lifting them up with the bump of the silicone pad to make them look longer. With the brow lamination, what you're trying to do is relax the brow hairs to then redirect them to a new position so that the brows can look fuller and any gaps can be filled in. So actually, if you do a brow lamination and then an intense browns, your customer who doesn't really want to go do microblading is going to love this, because your brows, like for example, if we had done it on Jennifer, her brows would be relaxed and all sticking upwards, and each individual hair you would see it separately on its own, and the brow would look fuller. Okay, so brow lamination is very popular. If you're not offering, I would say look into it, because you can give your customer the wow brow just by doing a brow lamination, tense browns, and then the shaping. Okay, I'm going to remove some of the scrub, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the saline solution. Okay, so right now I prepared the skin, and now I'm going to take the saline solution to clean the area, degrease the area, and make sure that there is nothing left there, and I can have a nice clean canvas for our artwork. Okay. Okay. Well, saline solution is very important with all of our RefectoCil services. Now, even though the Intense Browns is vegan, plant-based, I still suggest doing patch tests. There is people who are very sensitive, just even when you just touch them. So I would do a patch test just like you normally would with the oxidative tints, but you don't mix with the system. As you notice, there's no mixing. I get you to turn a little bit this way. Thank you. There's no mixing with this system, so you would have to do 3 different steps. The primer, either behind the ear, which is a more sensitive area, or in the inner forearm, but you'll have 3 sections: primer, color gel, and then activator. Okay.
And Chrissy, can you tell us again, what's the setting time?
So 4 minutes is the primer, that's the first step. Then 2 minutes is the color gel, which is the second step. And then 1 minute is the activator, the final step. In between each step is the drying time. So if you don't have a fan, it will be 4 minutes drying time. If you do have a fan, depending on the density of the hair on their brows, it will vary. So for example, Jennifer, her brows are like less hair that I have to dry. In 30 to 60 seconds, I've dried it. Okay, so it just the drying time just varies, even with the fan, just the density of the brow. Okay, so right now I can dry it before I start to brow mount. Okay, so I'm just going to brush at the same time. Perfect. Okay. Oh, sorry. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to proceed with the brow mapping. Okay. And I just do the simple brow mapping, which will be the 3 points, and then connecting those 3 points. So I'm going to start out first. You might have to face me a little bit so I can see. So I'm going to put it at the bridge of her nose, like a little bit on top of the bridge of her nose. Okay. And that would be where I first start. You're good. You're good. Okay. I can feel your nose. Yeah. So we can actually, sorry. Okay, and then when she opens up her eyes and looks straight, like you're gonna have to look at me straight, yeah. Then I can go to the corner of her iris. Oh, sorry, we're good, yeah. Okay, and that's where her arch will be. Let's do the other side, so look, yeah. Okay, and then from the bridge of her nose to the corner of her eye, that's where her brow should end. Okay. And now is where you're going to make your connection, okay? So I'm gonna get, now we're not gonna, because it's gonna be our first time trying this, I'm not gonna do too much skin staining. Because I want her to not be shocked the first time. And we're going to give a softer arch. Turn this way again for me, sorry. And obviously afterwards, we're going to do some shaping. Shaping, because there's some hairs that we can clean down this area. Okay, so that's the first one. I might just have you one against, just look at me this way so I can just make sure I'm getting both. And always just make sure like check your brows to make sure. So this brow here, it might be hard to tell in the camera, but you can try. Let's see. This brow on this side, you can see there's a lot more gapping. This side of the brow, it's a little bit more hair down there. So we're gonna stain this area to be able to make it as uniform as the other side we can, okay?
And Chrissy, Kathy is asking about the bridge of her nose. She said the bridge of your nose is where your glasses would sit, right?
Yeah, so basically, so for some nose types, technically it's from the edge like this, but you see that's too in for her. And she has hair, like her brow, that's too far out. So try to put it a little bit on the bridge of the nose. And that's where I did it, and it's right. Anything further in is going to create the brows too far apart. So I always say, depending on the bridge size, like just sometimes you got to put your pencil, your mapping like on top of the nose, the bridge of the nose. Okay, you'll see the nostril. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Turn one more time to me so I can just make sure that it is. You know, because both of our brows are not both the same, and one brow always has like a dominant arch, and the other brow. So this is like the part you're not going to rush. You're going to take your time because this is what's going to help you to follow the guide, right? Of what their new brow shape is going to be. Okay. So I think that's good. I'm going to just make sure my tail ends are good too. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with, and your pencils, like if you have alcohol, any sanitary like wipes that you have, like disinfecting wipes, you can clean it first, sharpen it, and then clean it again. Okay, to it's reused to your customers. Okay, so we are going to start with the primer, and I'm going to be using the medium. Okay, it's kind of hard to tell, but that's the medium. Okay, so. And if you look at all the three steps together, like the tubes are different colors. So it makes it like the activator is gray, then the coloring of the brown, then white, the tube. As I was saying, it makes it easy to see. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze a pea-size amount in my bowl. Your pea-size amount does vary between customer to customer, depending on the degree of their brows. Also, the gels are all clear. That's one thing that you might be like, oh, they're all clear. So that's why brow mapping is so important, because you don't see the coloring taking effect until the last step. Okay. The primer is a little bit more loose, and then the other gels are a little bit more thicker. Okay. So I'm gonna get you, sorry, turn this way, and we're going to apply it. I do notice here, give me 1 second. Okay. So follow within the mapping. And where there's hair, go against as well. So you can get it underneath the hairs to reach the skin. Make sure you get your tail end. Now here's like all that skin area that we want. And another thing too is, you know, do your consultation with your customer too, to see like if they have any skin conditions, or if they've been doing like Accutane or any skin treatments, because sometimes they might not grasp. So it's good to check. Okay, so we're going to do the other side now. Now, because we're doing the ombre, we do have to cover all the area with all 3 steps, just our spoolie is going to work differently. Okay, so that's gonna go on for 4 minutes. So I'm gonna start my timer. Oh, give me 1 second. Let me start my timer for the 4 minutes. Katie, does any questions? Give me 1 second.
Yep, we have one right now. Do you start the timer after you're done or as you're applying it?
Sorry, 1 second. I don't know where my phone is. Sorry, go ahead, Katie. Ask me the, oh, I see it. Ask me the question again.
Do you start the timer after you're done or as you're applying it?
You can do it after you've done one brow, or you can do it like now. I'm gonna just apply, I'm gonna start it now. Because remember, they don't go progressive. Right? So, but sometimes if I'm doing this like alone to a customer, I just start it after the first brow, but just make sure that your timings don't come out earlier than they should, so you don't have that unevenness. If they stayed a little bit longer, it's not going to alter anything. Okay, so we have that as 4 minutes. Okay, so in the meantime, is there any other questions or anything else that I need to reiterate or like repeat? Or
No
everything?
other questions right now. If you have any other questions for Chrissy, feel free to put them in the chat.
So yeah, that's the one thing that's gonna be different is that there's going to be no mixing required. I'm just. Each step is separate.
Danielle asked, do you have an exfoliate recommendation that works well with the tinting system?
No, not of yet. I'm relying on professionals in the salon industry to let me know. Because right now I'm just using the one that I have been given. So I'm trying to accumulate from professionals what they find has worked for them nicely with the system. I would obviously choose an exfoliant that's not heavily, like even though you're going to use a, what do you call it? The saline solution afterwards. I wouldn't use something that's so enriched with oils, because if you didn't clean that brow afterwards properly and there's still some residue of the exfoliant there, it might affect the results. So I would make sure it's not too rich with a lot of oils.
And can you show the primer one more time?
Sure. Put it behind my hand. Well, that's the primer. Okay.
Thank you.
There's
And then
50
Catherine
milliliters
wants
too.
to know- Catherine wants to know, do you finish the brow lamination entirely before tinting?
Yes. Yep. Your brow lamination service has to be done completely, and that has to be removed properly, and then it has to be dried the hair properly, and then you're going to do the intense brows. But before you do the intense brows, you're going to wipe the brow with the saline solution, just to make sure that there was like a security that you don't leave any of that brow lamination solution into the hairs. But the drying time before you start the intense browns is very important as well, because the hair is going to be wet from cleaning it. How are you feeling?
Okay.
Good?
Yeah. I don't feel like anything.
That's another thing too. We've had people ask us, oh, can you ask the model if she feels anything? And I think it's been 99%. I think everybody so far has said they haven't felt anything. But that's also what's very mindful too with the excuse me 1 second. With the with the exfoliant, don't use one that's really harsh, because they will be feeling it if it's a harsh one, like if it's a body one that you're using, or if the microspheres are huge, your customer might feel irritation, especially if they have sensitive skin as well. Okay.
And Chrissy, we have another question. Did you get the primer on the skin as well as both sides of the hair?
Did I say it again? Did I?
She said, did you get the primer on the skin as well as both sides of the hair?
Yes. So the primer covered the whole entire brow area that I'm going to work on. And I went against, like where she had a lot more density in hair, I went against it so that I can go back to the skin and stain it. Well, the product now is evaporating, so they won't, yeah, but you're covering the whole area. And then you're going against the hair if there's a lot more density in the hair, because it has to reach down to the skin, even behind those hairs. I just realized it's 2 o'clock. Is everybody okay to stay a little bit longer? Okay.
Fine.
I was like, oh my, I just saw the time. That time flies fast. Okay, so let's remove it with dry Q-tip. Okay, turn this way. Sorry, thank you. Dry Q-tip. Don't put any water. Go against too if you have to. Okay. And do the other side. And then we're going to take the fan. And we're going to dry. But we know it's going to be a quicker dry with the less hair that she
Is
has.
that a dry or a wet Q-tip?
Dry. Always dry. Now I'm just drying the area. Because there's like less hair, more skin, the drying time will be pretty fast. Probably just 30 seconds.
And Dana asked how you decide the shape of her brows. Can you cover that again?
I did talk to the customer before, model before, and we said we're gonna give a subtle arch and not make it too dramatic. So that depends. You're gonna have that question, and we have consent forms, and you're gonna have that brow shaping question in the consent form to see what kind of shape your customer is looking for. A more predominant, like how even thick they want their brows to look as well from this when you stain them. So I already spoke to Jennifer before. I didn't want to make it too, like even what we do right now, she's probably going to be very different for her. She does fill her brows in anyways. She is a makeup artist, so she does do her own brows, but I feel like this is gonna be a little bit more intense probably than what she's used to. So I didn't want to make strong arches or anything like that. So that's why I kept it more subtle. Yeah. Is it good? Katie? For everyone? Yeah.
Yep, all good. And yes, Marlo sells the whole Intense Browns kit.
So I'm going to be doing the deep brown. Okay. I'm going to squeeze that. And once again, follow within your brow mapping. Okay. And it's clear as well. It's just, it's a little bit more thicker. And I have a new bowl and a new brush. Do not intermix or else the product won't work. So it's more gel. Okay. So no intermixing. You might have to buy an extra set of brushes and bowls because the kit only comes with one.
Chrissy, Linda wants to know, do you show the guests their mapped shape to confirm satisfaction prior to the service?
Yes. Yes. Please do that. Yep. Engage. If your customer is able to be engaged, your client's able to be engaged, I'm sure it. Yep. Just like you would do with microblade. I don't know if there's any microbladists on here. This is a great product for you to also offer. If you have a customer that's looking into microblading, but not really sure if they want to do all that investment, if they really want to spend so much money, it's more invasive. You can do this service for them and they can see if they like the look. And same with microblading, turn this a little bit. Same with microblading, you need to show them the brow mapping to see if, because it's more permanent, right? But yes, please show them, please engage with them so that they know and they agree. And you want to make sure, especially on the skin area too, that you give good coverage because you want it to try and be as smooth as possible. If you find it's a little blotchy after when you put the activator, you can soften it with the tint remover. So in this area where there's a lot more skin.
This is a good question, Chrissy. What is the main difference between this and the RefectoCil original brow tint?
Yes, so the oxidative tints, they require the oxidant to mix together with the color to open up the hair follicle and the structure of the hair so that the color gets deposited to the hair structure, like the hair follicle, and then it seals up and it closes and the hair is embedded into the hair, right? Into the cuticle. So we call that roughening of the cuticle with the intense brown. So if somebody is allergic to that system with the intense browns, it doesn't roughen the cuticle. It doesn't open up the hair structure and deposit within the hair structure. It just it coats the outer layer of the hair. So it's great for people who might be allergic, great for pregnant mothers. But that's what's the main difference. And also with the oxidative, you mix. This one is a silver nitrate, which is the activator. And it's a silver nitrate that has become FDA approved.
And Chrissy, do you go against the hair and with the hair with the color step as well?
No, I only do it just for the primer. Because I just want, that's the base. That's the base that's going to make the staining effective.
Thank you. Another good question. What color would you use for someone who has gray hair?
Gray hair, I would do the ash brown. Because it is gray, it has that cool tone. Now, the great thing with now, if the customer wanted more contrast, like they had gray brows, but their hair is a little bit darker because they colored it, they can choose the deep brown as well. But I would do the ash brown first to see. And the great thing is that they cover the gray. It covers it because it coats it. Sorry, 1 second.
Perfect. And can you remind everyone what you're applying right now?
Right now, it's a color.
Perfect. Does the original RefectoCil cover gray brows?
Color gel. It does if it's new grays. Should go get my water. It does. Can you guys still hear me? It says my internet connection is unstable.
We can hear you again.
Okay. It does cover grays if they're new gray hairs. And if they're not, and they're gray, the white bristly wiry ones, you have to use the bleaching agent to open up that structure and able to deposit the color better. So that's what the original. Otherwise with this one, because it's coating it, it's almost like it's painting it in a sense. It covers it. The original, a question just popped up and I saw it. The original stains the skin, but gives it a very shadowy, and then it goes away that same day. I'm going to grab water really quickly because it's a little dry in here, and I'm going to remove the step number 2. Just 1 second. Okay. So let's now remove it once again with a dry Q-tip. Okay, we're always dry. Katie, was there another question, or did I get it all?
We just had a comment come in that says, thank you for this class. Very helpful. Always looking for classes. I offer tinting now and can't wait to try this.
Oh, this is awesome. I'm glad for the excitement. And I'm sure once you start playing around with it and see what it can do, you'll probably think of so many customers that you're going to want to tell them about this system.
And can you just remind everyone how long this lasts?
So we say 5 to 7 days on the skin and about 4 to 6 weeks on the hair. And that depends on their skin type, oily versus dry, and what they do at home for maintenance. Because we don't hold their hands at home, we hope they listen, but afterwards, as long as we make sure we give them the protocols, what they do afterwards, but maintenance at home will help to extend it. So, the first 24 hours, no saunas, no oils, no makeup, keep it fresh like that. And then afterwards too, if their makeup remover has so much oils in it, it's going to break it down eventually. So I just lost a little bit of my I'm just closing it. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? I don't know if I'm going to turn this a little bit. Thank you. It's been good, Katie. Any more?
How much time for the color? How long did you leave that on?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
2 minutes for the color. So remember, it's always half of each. So 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, half, 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 yeah. Okay. Air dry it for about 30 seconds. It's pretty dry here, so it's been drying really fast. It's a little warm. Okay, so after we've done this, it's the final step of the system, which is the activator. And you know, you can work one brow at a time if you feel. The thing is that after the 1 minute, it doesn't do anything longer. So don't worry that one side was longer than the other side. But people panic when they see how quick it stains. So take your time. Don't rush it. Okay.
Another good question. Can you color over tattooed eyebrows?
Yeah. If they're not going back for any touch up, if they're not just freshly, they did it freshly, like, you know, if they did microblading freshly, wait, like after a month. But yeah, you can. I've done that on a couple of clients to cover up like if they didn't want to go back for a touch up, the color sometimes fades and it's not a nice one. So I freshen it up with the intense browns.
Great. And can you go over one more time what you would charge for this service compared to, also compared to tinting and waxing and blading?
So we say the range is between $40 to $60. And that can include as well the shaping, because usually shaping is between what, $15 to $20 when you shape. So if you're going to charge 60, it could be the complete package of the intense browns and then shaping as well. But we say 40 to 60. We put a range because it depends on your demographics and where you're located.
Tammy wants to know, if a guest tans, how long should they wait before going tanning again?
24 hours.
You got it, Tammy.
Yeah, or saunas, hot tubs, stuff like that. So I'm going to use my narrow brush. And that's the final step. Once again, clear, but I'm going to have you turn this way so I can totally pay attention to the step, because and you'll see it in the camera too. Do you see how quick that's developing? Can you guys see that? Right away as soon as I touch. So the narrow brush is helping me stay. Now I'm going to clean that first portion because I did say we're going to show a ombre. So let me just remove a little bit that went at the beginning, because I'm going to show you guys a little bit more of a softer technique. But make sure you get it right away to remove any unnecessary staining. Okay. Okay. So you can see how, and another tip is when you go back into your bowl to get more, wipe your brush, because it's already getting darkened by the color. And if you go back and you grab more, you're going to almost like oxidate. You're not going to allow it to be true to what it's supposed to do. So clean your brush every time you go back into dip. Usually if I have gloves on, I wipe it on my gloves. So let me continue just doing this part here.
Chrissy, we have another question. Does this still develop after the product is removed, like the other product?
No. It stops. So in that 1 minute, it's going to stop.
Okay. And approximately how many services can you get with the kit? When you buy the kit?
60. Okay, so this area of the brow is nice and wet with the activator. I'm going to take my spoolie and I'm going to get it wet. I'm just being careful because the brows are a little bit small, like less. I'm going to take that color and now try and spread it to the hairs in the front, but without putting too much on the skin. So that's how I can do that more shadow. And to blend it, right? Because you don't want it to be too abrupt.
Chrissy, would you recommend doing a patch test to check for allergies before you do
Yes.
this?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm a very big patch testing and stuff like that. Obviously, we didn't do that with Jennifer, but as a model, but it's very important, yes. For your customers, you never know how they can react and you don't want to find out too late. So I'm lightly buffing at the beginning because I don't want it to be too abrupt. So let me remove it now because the 1 minute time is up. I'm gonna grab, and now is where you can apply water, okay? But I don't drench my cotton pad too much. I don't want it dripping or anything like that. And then I'm going to. Now, if I feel I have to go back, gotta turn this way, sorry. And fix it, I can. So for example, I'm gonna grab my tint remover. First of all, because I need to clean any edges. But if I felt that in some areas it didn't take, I can go back, put the color gel, and then put the activator, and you'll just follow the same steps. Nothing gets omitted. So yes, you can go back and fix the area.
Another question for you, Chrissy. Can clients' skin chemistry affect how the color develops on the skin? Can some skin utilize a cool tone and make it go warm?
Yeah, it can. The chocolate brown is supposed to be a warm tone, but on a couple people I've tried it, it's been cool. So yes, it can affect. I'm just gonna do, sorry, a little bit of the tweezing so I can just see it. Now it is Jennifer's first time doing this, so I didn't know how her skin will take it. So there's some areas that her skin didn't take it. So I can go back and correct and fix it. But I can do that afterwards because there's only a limited time. But you can see how we were able to get the skin as well. So let me do the other side.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What if they have like self-tanner, like Central Pay or something like that? Does it affect?
I would suggest they shouldn't put it on before the treatment. Yeah, even like 48 hours before.
And how would this translate onto like a really deep skin tone?
When you say deep skin tone, what do you mean?
Like dark ebony African skin.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, they would use what I'm using on you.
Mm.
Is that what you're talking about? Like the color? Which color?
Yeah, like if it would show or if it would.
Yeah, you can use the black brown as well. You can even go darker. Yeah. Or you can use the chocolate brown and use the strong primer. If your customer has, yep. So once again, if I'm going inside, I'm just cleaning my brush. Now I flip my spoolie. Turn this way for me, sorry. Sorry guys, if my hand's in the way, I just a little hard with the setup. So I just gotta see what I'm what I'm doing. Okay, so we'll leave that on a little bit, but I do know the other side. I would want to fix it, but I'll fix it afterwards, but we'll leave that on for a couple more seconds.
Another good question from Cam. What is the shelf life and open life of each product after being used?
So on the back of each of the bottles, you'll see the little container thing. So the shelf life for the tubes of color are 6 months. Sorry, the tube of colors, they're all should be 6 months. All 3 steps are 6 months after opening. If they're closed and sealed, you get about a 2.5 to 3 year expiring date. So they can last up to 3 years if you store them in a cool, dry place. And then the tint remover is 12 months after opening. Are you on any of these skin treatments or anything like that? Or are you using any?
There's glycolic acid in my toe.
I call it, okay, that could be why. It's a little,
Yeah.
it's a little patchy.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing.
Like, okay.
Hyaluronic acid serum.
Hyaluronic, okay.
And then, yeah, just my sunscreen moisturizer, but I
We-
don't think it has.
We
anything.
did scrub and everything, but
Mhm.
yeah, it is the first time, so I don't know how your skin chemistry has been over thing, but I just soften it. So anywhere you see that it's not a smooth transition, I just take my tint remover, like for example, right here at the beginning, there's a very blotched. So I have to soften that. That's why it's very good. It's very important to understand, do a consent form, and we do have the consent form because you gotta know whatever your customer is doing to their skin, anything that they're taking can be effective. So I'm just gonna show you quickly because I do want to do the correction if you guys want to see it. I'm gonna show you quickly because you have to know how to do this for your customer. So right now I'm gonna try and go back with the color gel. And put it in the areas that I feel really needed.
No questions at this time, Chrissy, but just a lot of compliments. Looks,
Oh, thank you, thank you.
wow. Thank you for all the tips. Everyone's very
Yeah,
excited.
the tips are gonna be really, really helpful. And using the spoolie was a great tip that was told to me by the manufacturer. So I'm just going back and putting the color gel. Because I haven't done an extensive, I haven't done it, actually, I'm asking my Marlo right now these questions. But for me, I would want my customer, like even though you can see her brow now, for me, I would want it to be much more smoother, that transition, right? So that's why I'm correcting it. Otherwise, if there's any questions, I can still answer if you just want to see me correct it or see how you can correct it. I'm just doing the color gel. The color gel, then I'm going to do the activator again. This side had a lot of skin staining that was needed. So that's why I'm trying to even it out again. Try and see if I can go over it again, even it out. Okay.
Someone did ask Chrissy where you got the fan that you were using.
That fan was gifted to me by the manufacturer because it says RefectoCil. Otherwise, I use one that was from Premier Lash as well. You can use any lash extension fan. A lot of my trainers go on Amazon and they buy it. They're not that expensive on Amazon. RefectoCil doesn't know if they'll make it because it is pretty, it'll be pretty expensive. By the time it's going to be sold to like the professionals, it's going to be like $30. Sorry, so I'm not quite sure if people are going to pay that much when Amazon has it for way less. But yeah, this one, unfortunately, I wish I could make it because it's actually marketed as RefectoCil. But I previously to getting this as a gift, I was using the Premier Lash one, and it's amazing. It looks like a little mini Dyson. So you can check their website as well to see. Okay, so I'm gonna wait 30 more seconds. How do people feel with trying out this system? Like giving it a try? Do you already have an idea of, even just friends or models that you're gonna round up to try it? Hopefully you're excited to try this out. Okay. So it may seem, obviously when you're in the treatment room, even on yourself, yeah. I periodically can grab, I can see some people's comments. So yeah, I even tried it on myself because as I get older, my brows are like, I'm losing my brows. You're okay, you're good. I'm losing my brows, so this is great for me to have, like we said, that skin staining. Okay. So. Okay, so I'm just removing it dry. I'm gonna dry it. I'm just gonna go back to the activator. Okay. Okay, so now let me do the activator. And let me try to correct. Okay. Get you yes to turn this way. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that. I'm trying to be really careful because I don't have my brow mapping on anymore. Okay, so we'll leave that there. I'm gonna do this side. That edge. This is me correcting it, right? So it's as you saw, I didn't have to go back and do the primer. It was just the color gel. Okay. Okay, so let me just remove the other side. Should put a little bit of water. And now I can see that the skin stained much better. So sometimes you might have to go back again. I don't know if you guys can tell now. It's so much more even. It was killing me. And I'm like live with you guys. I'm like, oh my God, it's gotta look perfect. Hi. So for those who could have stayed, thank you so much because I felt really bad. Okay, so the staining is even now.
And Chrissy, when you're correcting, there's no need for the primer, just the color gel.
There wasn't, they say no, but if you found that you're working with a very no hair, like there's no hair, maybe try again with the primer, but she said there's no need because the primer portion does open slightly a little bit the hair structure. So that's why I think they say you don't need to put it again because it's already going to be there to accept. So yeah.
And when mixing the activator and color, what technique do you use to help with measuring?
Like when I squeeze it out, like the each of the gels.
I think that's what they, yeah, yep. That's
So
what
it's just a piece size. Your piece size will vary because there's no mixing, there's no ratios needed. So it's what your if her brows are much more thicker, my piece size would be much more bigger. Right. So I was showing it in I showed it to you guys in the camera how much I was using. If I was working in a very full brow, then yes, it would be much more bigger. So for example, this is my activator. So everything will be the same. Like if my primer and all, they would be the same amount. Does that kind of help? Because usually with the oxidative, we say it's 1-to-1 ratio, but because you're mixing here, we're not mixing. Let me remove the other side. So hopefully that helps. A piece size, but piece size will vary. Okay, let's hope this one will be nice and even. This one's the one that had the more skin. Yes. Okay. Although it's funny, not funny, but she does pull warmth in these colors as well, which, like you said, there was that question before with the skin type. So this one, she did pull some warmth in the beginning of her brow. So what I would have to do, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, is I would have to grab. So like I said, it's not going to be easy peasy for all your customers. There will be times when you have to touch it up. So I will have to fix this area, but you guys can see now in the camera. So you got this one minus with that one. She did pull warmth, so I have to take it out. But as you can see, this brow, she's got the even skin staining. I don't know if you want to come a little bit closer for them to see it. You can come a little bit closer. Yeah. See how even it is? Can you guys see that? Try to get, there we go. There's no glow. See how even it is on the skin? That's how it should look. Yeah, that's how it should look. So right now I'm just gonna fix this, but I don't want to keep you guys longer than you should. Go have a nice lunch and stuff. But I'm just gonna fix that area. But otherwise, any other questions that I can help with before we go?
I'm not sure if you can see Chrissy's question. If the tint takes too dark or blotchy, you can use the tint remover, correct?
Yes, that's what I've been doing. Thank you guys. I've been doing the tint remover, even at the end when you want to grab and soften some of the areas, you use a tint remover, right? But if she had, like right now, she has like a little blotch there, a very warm color, and I don't like it. So I'm going back and going over it again to make it even darker. But you'll learn how to correct it to each customer's. I've never had such a picky brow with intense brows. I have another associate. Every time I do, it's like easy breezy, but Jennifer's brows gave me a challenge. But the fact that you can do it, like you can do a challenging brow and give them the results, that's what's going to matter. So be patient. What I would suggest is if you're going to try to practice with this first, get different types of brows to work with. Get brows that have no hair, get brows that have hair, get somebody who has a warm undertone. You need to choose ones that are going to challenge you, because those are the customers that are going to come to you to get their brows fixed. Okay. So hopefully, yeah, it's easier when there's no mixing because you don't have to remember the ratios. But it's as much work as with the original, right? But hopefully you guys, so the ending step, which I'm not going to put it yet because I want to be able to fix this brow, but the final step would be to put the styling gel. Okay, so I don't know if one more time, just come closer so you can see this one, just to see how even it looks. Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, thank you, everyone.